Lance.
All right. Okay, so I will go ahead and get started here. We have a lovely group of panelists here for us today. Janet is it Toth or Toth? I'm sorry.
It's Toth, like the word both, but I'll come to answer to anything. Yeah.
Well, Janet Toth, we will do that. That is your name. Janet is with the SBDC, and she is the Certified Business Advisor for the Snohomish office of the Small Business Development Center. She advises business owners on aspects of immediate concern and on long-term planning, including succession planning. Also joining us, we have Dan Gaffney of Moss Adams. Dan is a partner at Moss Adams and national practice leader of the firm's closely held businesses practice. He advises closely held businesses, business owners, and executives on corporate and individual income tax, strategic business planning, estate planning, and business succession to help them manage their tax liabilities and preserve more of their business and personal wealth. And with that, I think Janet will take it away for an introduction on our conversation. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. There's 6 of us. So, and our conversation is geared towards businesses. So thank you all for coming in. Matt, I haven't met you before, but hi. And Lance, we have worked together before as well. Dan is here with me to do a presentation of Dig and Discover, Dream, Decide, and Do Now. So thank you for joining us. There are 6 other breakout rooms related to finding and hiring employees. But we are glad that you have chosen this room, as we'll share the steps again of the 5 Ds you can use to be resilient enough to hire the people you need for the business to be successful and resilient. The purpose of the panel is to provide resources and tips for small businesses to thrive. So I get into what is resilience? What does it look like, feel like, act like, smell like? Often it's ugly, hard, sometimes unruly, and pretty stinky, like a bad fish. But as it works out, it could become a totally different fresh fish. And sometimes it smells and tastes better than the original fish with possibly better texture. So there we go. Or sometimes resilience means we're able to stretch to realize our dreams that we thought would take much longer to attain. So resilience in business is usually an interruption of our status quo, a disruption. What can we do then? Focus. Focus is the big word. It's the major part of resilience at this time. Today, we wish to offer the 5 Ds for resilience in your business. The 5 Ds show how focus can be used in the business to strive for resilience. So, Misha, I think you have a question for us. Or do you want me to continue?
Oh, yes, I can begin with my questions for you all. And I will stop screen sharing here so we can enjoy our conversation together. Okay, first question. As you work with your clients, what do you see as the main challenges they are facing? What are some of the ways you have worked with them to address and overcome these challenges?
Yeah, I'm happy to take this one. Thanks, Misha. I know we have a small group here, so if there are questions from anybody in the group, I'm happy to dive in and answer any specific thoughts and questions. Like we said, we're a small group, but yeah, there's, working with small businesses every day, there's always a variety of challenges that come up and issues to be thinking about, and kind of thinking about what Janet teed up, the 5 Ds here that we're putting out in front of everyone. That starting off with dig and discover, and to answer that question, it really, the things we're doing today and addressing today and digging into with our clients today really revolves around the business's strength, its cash flow, its profitability, and then really probably the top issue, which is really what this conference is all about, is people. I don't think I talked to a client on which people issues aren't the number one thing. It just seems to be everyone is struggling to find talent, to attract and retain and develop talent. We've heard all about that on a little bit in the morning sessions. I think if you step into a couple of the other breakouts, you'll hear some more about that. But it's digging into, well, what does that mean for your particular business, and what are those issues around talent and people? And is it a compensation issue? Do you need to address or adjust compensation? Certainly the marketplace is doing that all over the place. And if you and your business are not doing so, you're falling behind. But then when in addressing an increase to compensation, it's not just salaries and wages and those types of things. It's got to be benefits as well. And so a lot of small businesses haven't addressed the issues around benefits, but looking at retirement plans, 401k, those types of things, there's a cost to adding that stuff. But small businesses today have to start thinking about having those opportunities. And so one area is people, and digging into what is the reason why your company is not attracting the talent you need, or is losing the talent you have. Is it related to compensation and benefits? Is it related to culture and structure? And that's a big one too, is who are you as a business? What's your culture all about? And given kind of the times of today and how things have evolved over the last 18 plus months now of the pandemic, being flexible and providing a lot of that flexibility has got to be there, or else your talent's going to go out the door and go find an employer that will provide that flexibility. And so that's been a big thing. So digging into that is one area. I don't know, Janet, if you're seeing anything else or hearing anything else from your perspective on those areas. I've got a few other thoughts too, but I just wanted to pause and see if you had any more thoughts.
Spot on, Dan. Continue on.
Yeah. So a few other areas that we're trying to dig into in today's business with the small business clients, beyond the people, and are we providing the resources needed to attract and retain? It's going to be about cash flow. Okay. So, I mean, cash flow is always probably the most important thing in any business, and certainly a small business for sure, is what does cash flow look like for your company? And do you actually know what that means is a big one too, because most small businesses just look at the bank account and that's my cash flow, but you really have to get beyond that, understand your assets and your liabilities and your expenses, and you're forecasting out those expenses, what capital needs you might have, and those types of things. And so one of the things that we're helping small businesses deal with a lot right now is just reviewing where their cash flow is coming from, and what it looks like, and how it's generated, what expenses are coming up. And then doing that in light of the time of year. Here we are in early November, so we're at the year end. For the most part, year end for most businesses are calendar years. Is looking at their taxes, because that's a cost of business. And we are, Congress is certainly debating some big bills right now, but within there are a lot of revisions to the tax code. We're going to see some changes that will impact you and your business positively or negatively, depending on how your business is set up and structured and whatnot. And so it's time to dig into that and say, okay, how am I structured? What does it look like under today's tax law? And tomorrow, if tax laws change, well, what will that mean to us? And should we be doing anything now to take best advantage of the opportunities that are there? So there's some opportunities around tax structure it's a good time to be digging into that as well, and discovering who you are and how you want to be structured. I think the last thing that's kind of top of mind for a lot of small businesses today is, and this is just straight up cash flow, is under the CARES Act, there was the employee retention tax credit that was passed and available for you and your business. If you qualify, if your business qualifies, it can be significant dollars. And those are not dollars you have to repay. Those are dollars in your pocket. and those can be significant. So a lot of small businesses are missing that. They're not realizing it's available for them. And so digging into that to see if they qualify is fairly important at this stage in looking into things.
One other one that a lot of business owners don't realize is as employees are coming and going, is the work opportunity tax credit, the federal tax credit. Most business owners don't know about it, and that there is a time frame that they need to get into the paperwork into, and then after that, it's very simple going forward. But it is a credit off the federal tax, which is, in my book, huge for people at this time.
All right, and thank you for that, both of you. The next question I have revolves around dreams. So what are you discussing with your clients about the future of their businesses, and how should they be planning for the future?
Yeah, Janet, do you want to take this one to start, or
I'll take this one to start, because I plug that in because that's what I'm hearing from my clients often, is that, oh, gee, pre-pandemic, I wasn't really doing what I dreamed of doing with my business, because, every day you get up and you have a passion, and I started the passion. I had the passion and I started the business because I wanted to endure with that passion every day. I wanted to get up and do that. It didn't happen for me. And now I'm looking at this pandemic, the changes that have been made. So what do I do to ensure that going forward after the pandemic, I'm doing really what I dream? And that's when, as Dan had mentioned, going in and digging into what is it that you're offering? Is that follow through with the dream? This is the time to really dig, discover, and dream about what you're going to be doing, and then put it into play. So I put that in there. This is the time to think about my passion. Passion is what it gets you through the ugly times of things like we're going through now. It is what keeps you healthy in thinking about your future of your business. It's there with you. So I wanted to interject that. Thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Those are great thoughts for small businesses to be thinking about. A few other things that, from my perspective on conversations that we're having with our clients and helping them kind of sort out around the kind of dreaming about who you want to be and how that's changed in the last couple of years. Also revolves around, where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? And what I mean by where you want to go is what is the ultimate strategy long term for your business, and what's the exit plan? Even when you start up a new business, we're always talking, okay, well, what's the end game look like? What do you want to do here? Is this something you want to grow and develop over a long period of time, and hopefully eventually create a multi-generational family business and bring my kids in and all that? Is it, that may not happen, but is that your dream, that it becomes that? Or is this something you want to build up and try to sell off to a competitor, or a private equity company or something like that along the way? And so how do you structure your business going forward? And so we do start with conversations early on and throughout the life cycle of a business to talk about, well, what's the exit plan? What's that look like? And what do you want it to be? Because decisions that you make in terms of how you're structured, in terms of your capital, in terms of debt, leases, long-term commitments, all of those things really do matter when you factor in what is your goal that you're working towards for exit. And so that could change and evolve, and oftentimes it does, but that's why it's an ongoing, evolving conversation. The other thing that it's important to understand when you're dreaming about where you want to be and with your business and who you want to be about, and that's to ask the question of, what are our core values as a business? Who are we? Who do we want to be? And that really ties back to the talent retention and attracting people as well. Because if you can't articulate who you are and what your values are as an organization, you're going to have a hard time in this marketplace keeping your people. You're also going to have a hard time attracting people. So you want to have a good picture and a good kind of talking points around what your value system is inside your business. I think the last thing that I would say on the dream side of things is, again, thinking forward about our strategy and our future and who we want to be, what do we want to be when we grow up, kind of thing. And that's value. Do you know what the value of your business is today? What is it? What's it worth? It's important to understand that. And it's important to understand what drives the value of your business, because that's what you can focus on to help increase and drive additional value for yourself as business owners going forward.
Wonderful, thank you. Coming up next to the third question I have for you all, and that is, given the new federal tax proposals, Dan, you mentioned this briefly, but go a little bit deeper, and economic uncertainty, what are the key decisions that businesses need to make right now?
Yeah, lots of things to think about. Unfortunately, there's not specific things we can talk about. I can give some general ones because specifically it applies to each individual business. It depends, right? And what's good for one company is not for another, and so on and so forth. However, there are some definite things to keep in mind. First of all, if there's any sort of transaction pending, transaction of your business, transaction of related business, of property, of equipment, anything along those lines, or transaction of ownership with key employees that might be being triggered because of compensation agreements or family members or anything along those lines, you want to review when that transaction takes place. Likely, now we still haven't seen anything pass yet, and we're not sure exactly what will based on everything going on back in Washington, but at some point something will make its way through. And when it does, what we do anticipate is an increase in some capital gain tax rates that could impact situations. So if you have a deal of something happening in January, you might consider how can we make it happen in December instead. We also have a state of Washington, a capital gains tax that kicks in January 1st. And so again, if that is something that would apply to your situation based on your income levels, you might want to consider when you time a transaction. So that's one. The other is in terms of rates, in terms of what may or may not happen. We don't expect, and in the current House Ways and Means bill, their rates are not going down. They're going up, and they're going up at different levels of income. But in no levels are they going down, at least in the current proposal. And if there's no place they're going down, then you want to start to consider, well, when do I want to trigger certain income? And if I have the ability to control that, I could look at December versus January again for some timing. And some things you can control, some you can't. And those that you can, you want to work with your advisors to see, does it make sense? And does that work for us? And so forth. And then the other area that is of great importance and a lot of people talking about, although there was a little bit of breathing room given in this recently, but it's along the estate planning side of things. There's some potential changes coming to the estate tax laws and how certain trusts are structured and how much is exempt from estate tax and so on and so forth, where a lot of people are pausing right now and stepping back and revisiting their estate plans to make sure that if something were to happen to them, that we don't have a tax consequence that would be devastating to the ongoing success of the business. And some of those changes are potentially coming that you might want to address now. So really the things to do now is to work with your advisors, your CPA, your attorney, and sit down and just have this conversation and say, hey, the potential changes coming that may or may not happen. Likely some of them will. What does it mean to us? What does it mean to me personally? What does it mean to my business? And that's what really people should be doing now, is having that discussion with their advisory team.
Ooh, and Janet, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, on to the next one.
Actually, I'd probably put one more thought on, it's not so much tax law and structure, but it's the fact that interest rates continue to be very, very low today. And I don't mean just in interest rates from financing with a bank or whatnot, obviously those are, but interest rates that the IRS charges for transactions between related parties. So between you and your company, between you and a family member, anything like that, that interest rate is still extremely low. It's in the ones today. And so you can do a very low transaction with your business or your family member at a pretty low rate. So also continuing to look at that and see if it makes sense for you.
Great, thank you for that. And the final question I have for you all, we have a few minutes left here. How can a small business get started with moving forward? As we approach year end, what steps should businesses take to prepare for the coming year? Janet?
I think Dan's covered a good set of that as far as looking at the taxes and so on. I just want to reiterate, looking at what's called a cash flow projection statement. You're going to need those as a business owner in any of funding options that are coming forward. And if you've not done them, if you do not understand what they are, go back to the dig and discover, and you'll see everything that you need to kind of get into that with. But the projections are what your expectations are for your business in income, expenses, and profit going forward. That's the planning for resilience that we have. It's a tool. There, I'll just say that. Thank you, Dan. Go ahead.
Yeah, the last thing I would add to that is, and I think I mentioned a minute ago, is to think about your team. So what we challenge every small business we work with is to ask you, who is your trusted advisory team? Who is that? Who are those people? The CPAs, your attorney, your banker, the consultants, variety financial advisors. Who is it that is most important to you? And are they aware of your business and what's going on? And have you had a real in-depth dialogue about the issues facing your company today, the economic issues that you can't control, the ones that the economic issues that you can control, the tax structure, the legal structure, the strategies, everything. When's the last time you did that? And chances are it probably has been a while or never. And so what we advise our clients is to get together with your advisory team and just have a dialogue just like this, get together virtually or in person and discuss where your business is at, where its challenges are, where it's going, and if there's any modifications or adjustments that need to be made to structure, to legal issues, to taxes, to cash flows, to balance sheets and forecasts, et cetera. That's what your advisors are for. You use them that way, and that's really the best place to start, is to pull those people together, and it's generally well worth the investment to do that.
Wonderful. We have a few more minutes left before we get to switch groups. Are there any questions from the audience for our panelists?
Everybody, I apologize for having the camera off. My Zoom keeps crashing today. I was wondering, Janet, is there like a marketing piece that we can send out to, like the Resiliency Toolkit sort of thing? I thought that would be helpful to some of our small businesses in our service footprint.
Yes, Lance, I think at Edmonds, Giselle, our our associate certified business advisor is there at the campus. And we'll make sure that you get a resiliency toolkit. We do have one within SBDC. Today wasn't enough time to really go into that. It's more or less an overall.
It'd be really cool is to have a little tiny toolkit we can hand them, right?
We'll make one for you. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Great question there. Any thoughts from Matt or Ron? No? All right. Well, it seems like we might get an extra few minutes of break here. So the next breakout room is not actually beginning until 10:35, but you all have lots of time to think about that and decide which one you want to spend a little bit more time in. And I will pull up, oh, this is what we're looking at. And from here, oops, here we go. You can pick, this is how you select your new breakout room, and these are your options.
Great. Thank you all for attending. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you all. Cherish what you get today, because this is quite an event to have all of these types of options to look at how you're going to take talent on, seeking talent and so on, retaining, attracting. Take as many notes as possible. This is the time.
We'll go back to the beginning and get ready for the next round of votes.
Thank you, Dan. But the table is yours, totally. I enjoy listening, so.
No, I think that worked great.
It did. Thank you. So just carry on.
We'll repeat and do it again. That's fun.
Thank you, Misha, as well. Hello, Erica.
Oh, hi.